as the mayor says, there's been a lot of work that we've done in the streets through the years, especially in the last 12 that Mayor Sheehan has been mayor. But one of the things that we're the most proud of at the department is the way that we're always looking at new technologies and looking at new ways to preserve the streets, part of a pavement preservation program, if you will, so that we can get the most out of a street before it needs total reconstruction. Obviously, there's always going to be cases where that needs to happen, but where we can do what we can do to preserve a street and get more life out of it, we're always looking for that. Whether it's filling potholes, doing large overlays over the streets, crack sealing, or finally a treatment that I'd like to talk about called PPSD, or paver place surface treatment. It can be also referred to as microsurfacing. It's a treatment that it consists of applying a proportioned mixture of polymer, asphalt emulsion, aggregates, fillers, water, and other additives to pave the surface. The good thing about this program, this treatment, is it improves the durability of the street, and it adds anywhere between 25 and 45% more to the life of it, which can last 6 to 8 years longer, which is a huge win. We also one of the best parts about this that we absolutely love is that it's less invasive to the residents. A regular street project could take up to 2-3 weeks, depending on what you're doing. In the cases of the way we're doing things now with the lead services and such, and underground utility work being done, it could take even longer. So it's a disruption. This is a great process because it only takes about 1 to 2 days to actually be done, and will add life. It's also at 3/4 the cost of what a regular street would cost to replace. In the city of Albany, we have done 38 streets since 2021. That's 222,000 square yards of roadway at a cost of just a little over $3 million. So the investment, what we're getting for this investment is a huge benefit. So we've done 38 with 38 streets since 21, with 20 streets that we're going to do this year, bringing it to a total of 58. So that's really great. In addition, I have to mention, of course, the mayor mentions potholes, overlays. Just this year we've done almost 17,000 potholes have been filled to date as of July 30th. I think that number went up to, and we've done 1,627 street overlays, which is where we cut out a section and repave just a small section. So these are some of the many things that we're trying to do in addition to all the great work that engineering is doing with these streets, and obviously with a large project like this. So we're pretty excited about that, and we want to continue doing that as long as we possibly can so we can get more out of the streets.
Thank you, Frank. And our Department of General Services is able to deliver service to the city of Albany every day because of the leadership under Commissioner Sergio Panunzio, but also because of the leadership of our supervisors. Jeff Hunt is here. He's the Chief Labor Supervisor. He's president of the CSEA unit, and we're always working with our unions to ensure that they have the tools that they need to do the jobs that we ask them to do. And so, I think that we really have made a commitment to pedestrian safety. You see it in this project because of the hard work of the Common Council under Ginny Farrell's leadership. We have legislation in place that requires us to ensure that when we approach these projects, we are taking all users into consideration. And that is how we are making our streets safer, including installing approximately 75 new street humps across 25 streets all throughout our city. That will be happening just this year, adding to the street humps that have already been installed. And so we also want to ensure, as I said, that we are using the hard-earned dollars that we have by working smarter. And that is why we have been coordinating, and I think part of the reason that we've been successful in doing this is that last year we created a new Department of Engineering with its own commissioner, and taking all of those engineering resources that we had across traffic engineering and various departments and put them under one roof. And that group has been able to work very closely with the engineers in the water department to replace lead services. And I would love for Rebecca to come up and talk about how that has worked and how we've really been able to accelerate the replacement of lead services.
Thank you so much, Mayor. And I also really want to thank engineering and DGS. Without their teamwork, we wouldn't have been able to do the lead services that we've been able to do this year. And I really appreciate that teamwork that we've, picked up in the last year. One of the big highlights this year is the introduction of doing lead services prior to street paving. So that was an exciting development. It allows us to take care of these lead services before we put brand new pavement down. Eliminating the need to tear up the street later on to do lead service replacement. And I want to kind of tout what that means. So far this year, and we have a little ways more to go, we've done almost 200 service lines in conjunction with the paving project. And that's just with our contractor. In addition to that, within the City of Albany Water Department staff, we've used them to do about 60 or 70 additional ones that also on some streets precede that paving work. And all of this is possible because of $12 million in grants that we have from the state LEAD program and from the bipartisan infrastructure law that has given us that funding to go ahead and get these lead services out with the goal of completing that within 10 years. So this is a very important project for health and safety of our residents and for the improvement of these service lines for residents for years to come. And so we really appreciate that we've been able to team up like this and are looking forward to the next several years proceeding these projects and getting our lead service lines replaced. So thank you.
Thank you, Rebecca, and thank you for your leadership. So, again, you noted some of the funding sources for that. We're grateful to Governor Hochul. We're grateful to the Infrastructure Act. We're really able to do this because we've been able, through the leaders of our various departments, to access that funding. And so, again, I want to thank Council Majority Leader Ginny Farrell, and I'm going to invite her to come up and say a few words. I'm not sure what she's going to say because we've been ripping up her street and making a lot of noise, so she might be one of those neighbors who complains, but I'm hopeful that she knows that all of this hard work will be worth it in the end.
Thank you, Mayor. And I'm one of the neighbors that I'm always just grateful to be here. And I have to say, I say over and over again that it is people that make up a space. People make a neighborhood, but it's the infrastructure that actually allows the people to connect and do whatever it is that makes things better for community. So I want to say a huge thank you to Mayor Sheehan for always prioritizing the different infrastructure projects that actually allow people to come together, allow people to be safer, and allow people to function more properly. And of course, a huge thank you to the Department of General Services and Engineering, along with our partners, for actually going through and making the projects that are very difficult to live through as easy as possible. So it is not easy to live through a project like this, but when you have partners that actually care about who you are, the fact that you're trying to get home quickly to make your kid food or change before you have to go to another meeting, it absolutely matters. And another thing I'd like to note, how tremendous it is to get the lead service line replacement at the same time. So our project was basically planned ahead of time, and then they came in and said, now we're going to start doing the lead service lines. And there was potential for this project to not be included because there was so much planning involved. There was bidding that was already out, but everyone came together and said, no, absolutely not. We want to make sure that these lead service lines are replaced. We need to do the entire city. This matters for our population. So huge thanks to the water department as well, and obviously the mayor for prioritizing these things. Because without prioritizing the infrastructure, we're not going to be able to keep people safe. We're not going to be able to create spaces where people want to come together. And those are the things that really matter. So huge thank, and also obviously thanks to every single neighbor who has advocated for projects, who's been involved in the planning. Those are the people that really make a difference. So if you're an engaged citizen, thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ginny. And again, it's a beautiful summer morning. I don't want to keep people any longer, but we have been talking a lot about what we've been able to build, what we've been able to accomplish, but there will always be more to do. There will be potholes next year and the year after that. And it's about the team of people that come together to ensure that we focus on what matters in the community that really makes a difference. And so I'm very optimistic for the future of Albany. And I believe that there is so much positive happening to build on as we move forward. So thank you, and thank you to everyone for all of your hard work. It doesn't happen without an incredible team of people. So thank you. I don't know if you have any questions.
I got one quick one, I guess. How would you say these projects kind of align with the environmental sustainability goals that you have here in Albany?
Well, certainly one of the things that we think about is drainage, because we have these really heavy storms now. We have to make sure that we have infrastructure in place to deal with that stormwater. And so when we look at a lot of these projects, it is looking at where are there opportunities to hold back the water from the storm sewer system when we have heavy rain. And so that's another area where our water department and the engineers in the water department, as well as our engineering department that oversees all of city services, are constantly innovating and ensuring that we look holistically at these types of road projects. And so that's really important. I think the other thing, as we think about sustainability, I think about personal sustainability and health. And this is a very walkable city. And so we need to ensure that we're creating a sense of safety as people walk. Do people feel that cars are going too fast? Do people feel that, that our sidewalks are safe? We're dealing with trip hazards. So we have a new program where we shave the sidewalk panels. Those are all things that help us be more sustainable. Every time somebody decides to walk to the Market 32 that's up the road rather than get in their car makes us more sustainable. So there are things that we can do as a city to encourage that.
A question for Frank. Just wondering if there are any plans, the Hackett Boulevard corridor, there's a section of bad pavement, there's that flooding, and there are side streets that go up to Whitehall or up to Helderberg that have no sidewalks at all.
So, I mean, as far as PPSD goes, I don't know that would be too much of a candidate for that. I mean, there's some sections that might be, but reconstruction is definitely something that we've been working with engineering.
So, some of the issues with Hackett have to do with the fact that there's basically a river under Hackett Boulevard, and so the water department has been implementing projects. There's a new storm. Yes, it created a wetland. There's still another section of Hackett that we're looking at, because it doesn't make a lot of sense to do a full repaving of that road if we don't fix the water issues. With respect to missing sidewalks, that's an issue from, probably poor decisions that were made in the past, but we do look to install sidewalks where we can. We have a major project that we will be putting out to bid, we hope, by the end of this year, and it'll be completed hopefully by the middle of next year, on Frisbee, which is where there are no sidewalks connecting the Green Tech Charter School to a major park, to Hoffman Park. And so we're putting in new sidewalks there. And so again, working with your, well, I know you live in the neighborhood, sorry, didn't mean to out you, but we're working with the common council person in the neighborhood to identify where you want to see sidewalks installed. That's how the process starts. And then the common council member advocates for that. They come in. I meet with every common council member every year before we submit the budget to ask them what their priorities are. And then that is how we determine what both capital projects and then things that we can do within our operating budget that we're going to focus on in the next year. And so, again, it really is the Common Council person bringing us the exact locations of where they'd like to see sidewalks that starts that conversation. And then we're usually pretty successful in getting the funding that we need to get these things done.
How far along are we in getting the lead out, like getting these pipes replaced?
So I believe we're at about 1,500 to 2,000 completed services. We are working on inventory right now. It looks right now probably 15,000 total. With every year that we redo these streets and we add lead to the street paving projects, we're going to be able to increase those replacements. We also have other initiatives going on where we give grants to folks who decide to do it themselves. We do some in-house work on streets that we deem important at this moment due to various reasons. And so, each year we're gaining on that pretty well, and so it's a positive, curve on making progress here.
Is there any particular area of the city that this is more of a problem? I know probably downtown because that's an older part of the city.
So it has to do with the age of housing stock, but also you're not going to see it so much in the heart of downtown because a larger building actually would not have a lead service. So it's usually smaller residential buildings and then older housing stock, older than between like 1960 and 1970 is going to be our target, buildings at this point. So there are areas that don't need